And it's kind of like goes back to what you're saying, though, to not fall into the cycle of like, oh, this happened. Let me go get medicated in however I kind of medicate this. It's more to like calm yourself, make yourself feel better. And once you've done that, try to figure out what triggered that and what the root of that is.
Yeah, and we've all heard pause, count to 10 before you react.
Mhm.
Personally, I think 10 seconds is a laugh. I like 24 hours before I'm ready to respond to something that's really upset me. But what happens is our brains just get into a habit of the rabbit hole. And
Mm,
it really is a matter of practice of going, okay, stop, just stop, sit down. You're not going to solve this right now. Breathe, put on some music, smell something good, like literally calm yourself down. So, and that takes practice. Just
right.
just just giving yourself permission to stop
Yeah.
and not needing to fix the problem is very hard to get in the habit of, and
Yeah.
it's vital to real problem solving.
Right.
Sorry, I get
You
hot flashes, so forgive my
No, that's okay. I'm starting to get those too. I get it.
family.
Okay. In your book, you mentioned the concept of anxiety triggers. Can you elaborate on some common triggers and how individuals can become more aware of them in their daily lives?
Oh gosh, they're different for everyone. Sunday night can be an anxiety trigger because Monday's going to start your week, and quite often the week isn't even a bad thing. It's just the idea that we have to wind back up again.
Mhm.
Uh, Leaving the house to go do something and making sure you've got everything you need to leave the house can be a trigger.
Mhm.
Financial issues can be a trigger. Emotional strife that you have with people, with parents, with kids, with best friends, with spouses.
Mhm.
Traffic can be a trigger. Crowds can be a trigger. Um, really, a peach can be a trigger. It all depends on what you're programmed for and what your brain has learned to be afraid of or anticipatory about. I feel like anxiety is just like this waiting room that you're stuck in until you just move forward into whatever it is, and then you're okay.
Right.
And it's 10 miles wide and it's 10 miles high, but it is paper thin. The minute you walk through it, you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, in your experience, how does anxiety manifest differently in children and adults? And how can you work around that?
Oh gosh. In children, I think anxiety can be shown. I find anxiety gets shown in the black and white. And I
Mhm.
wish that the gray had a prettier connotation to it.
Yeah.
So if you've got someone who's really withdrawn and quiet, and if you've got someone who's just having outright tantrums, those are both signs of anxiety.
Wait, and
And
I want to stop you there because I think that's really important. I think there's a misconception where people think anxiety presents itself as like chaos. And there are people that go in and withdraw. And by the way, this creates, this is why people commit suicide because they are completely within their own self. So I think it's important to know how it manifests for sure.
yeah, a lot of my clients or people that I just know with deep anxiety, they turn out the lights and they crawl under the covers and they're just not ready to face the world.
Hmm.
And COVID was such a big manifester of that because everyone was just so shut in.
Yeah.
And it left us in our own heads. So, and I think it doesn't present that much differently in adults. Adults are running in chaos and they just don't have time to take care of themselves, or they are just completely antisocial and shut in.
Yeah. Um, Okay, so your book I thought was amazing. I'm not all the way through it, but I really do think it's great. What do you hope readers take away from reading the book in general?
So the original title for my book was Harness Your Fears and Freaking Fly Already. Uh, I think we're so programmed to detect what can be wrong, what could go wrong. And I really think the ultimate goal for every single human being on earth is to enjoy our lives. And that looks different for everybody. Some people love growing things. I'm not talking about just being out there surfing. We all have these passions. And I think we should all enjoy our lives. And if we were all happy, it would be a lovely place to live.
Yeah.
But we're so focused on what we're afraid of. And
Mhm.
that's the goal is don't be afraid, get excited and go find what pleases you. And
Mhm.
that looks different to everybody. And that's the key.
Yeah. You talk in your book about building an anxiety toolkit. Is that what you call it? Can you give us like 3 to 5 tips on how you would do that?
Well, just based on the topics we talked about, generational is a great place to start.
Mhm.
What anxieties are you carrying that aren't even yours? Are they inherited? I think we get a lot of anxiety. I know had a heart attack because I grew up in the entertainment industry. I was told that that was what I was meant to do.
Mhm.
And I was following a rubric for someone else's life. And if you'd asked me then if I wanted to be a therapist and run a mental health charity, I would have said, "You're drunker than I am. I'd rather kill myself than do that." But it was only through just kind of self-discovery that I
Mhm.
found out what I really like. So we make a lot of choices that aren't ours. So find out what choices are forming your life
Yeah.
that are yours and that are someone else's. And seeing yourself through your own eyes rather than how you think other people see you.
Mhm.
Because we really don't know how other people see us, and we always think it's critical. And so, being compassionate with yourself. We're human. We're gonna make mistakes. I don't even think there's such a thing as failure. I think if we're just always learning and going, "Oh, well, that didn't work. Well, but maybe I'll try this." We're so hard on ourselves. Stop it. Don't be
Right.
so hard on yourself. Be nice to yourself.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because failing obviously sucks, but you could really, if you take the lesson from failing, it actually is not a failure because you learn what not to do next time, or you learn who not to trust or how to do something differently. And, I think it's so important to, have that pendulum of, being in the negative or being, in the things that don't succeed, because that's the only way you can succeed. You can't do it right every time.
Yeah, it's blueprints for the future. I used to say you may have this idea putting a window in your floor. Wouldn't that be cool? You can see the roots of the house and you walk to the kitchen in the middle of the night and you step through the glass and you break your ankle and everyone's like, "What an idiot. Who puts a window in the floor?" But eventually you get to plexiglass. And it's a great idea, but
Right.
it needs to be workshopped and it's different. And why not?
Yeah. No, you're right. That's a good way to look at it. So you have something called the Few Foundation, PHEW. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, so tell me what it is.
So the Few Foundation is short for Pathways for Health and Emotional Wellness. What I do is not cheap. It takes a lot to treat people in the way that my center does, which includes music therapy and massage and neurofeedback and talk therapy and just aromatherapy, just everything. And what I found is a lot of people can't afford it, and
Mhm.
I hate turning them away. And then even worse are the people whose insurance do pay for it, but then after 3 months, you're done. They're like, "Oh, you've
Mm.
had 30 days to fix yourself. It's been, in 50 years, you need more than 30 days."
Yeah.
And so then the charity can pick up where the insurance companies left off. And we're a pretty new charity. We had a client whose was his insurance cut him off, and he just decided he wanted to pay it forward. And he did this big fundraiser. He raised $75,000, and it sort of pushed me into becoming a nonprofit. And I know it's supposed to be there. So I'm really trying hard to get it off the ground and create a place where people can get real holistic help, and not go broke doing it.
Right.